think we recorded.
Yes. Rajesh ji, would you please repeat? Rajesh.
Yep, we are on the record.
Okay.
Srisaile Dayapatram Dhibhaktiyadi Gunarnavam Yatindra Pramanam Mande Ramya Jamataram Munim Asmad Guru Samarambham Yatishekara Madhyamam Lakshmi Vallabha Paryantam Mande Guru Parampara Nila Tungas Tanagiri Tati Subdhamudbhotya Krishnam Paraartyam Swam Shruti Satasira Siddhamadhyapayanti Swochishtayam Srajinigalidam Yabalat Pratyapunkti Godadasye Nama Idamidam Bhuya Evastu Bhuyaha Annavayal Puduvai Andal Arangarthu Pannu Thiruppaavai Palpadiyam இன்னிசையால் பாடி கொடுத்தாள் நற்பாமாலை பூமாலை சூடி கொடுத்தாளை சொல்லு சூடி கொடுத்த சுடற்கொடியே தொல்பாவை பாடி அருளவல்ல பல்வளையாய் நாடினி வேங்கடவர் கென்ன விதி என்ன இம்மாற்றம் நாம் கடவா வண்ணமே நல்க ஸ்ரீ கர்கவம்ச கலச்சார்ணவ பூர்ணச்சந்திரம் ஸ்ரீ வெங்கடாரிய குருவர்ய தனூஜ ரத்னம் தஸ்மாத் அவாப்த நிகமாந்த ரகசிய ஜாலம் ஸ்ரீமத் ஸ்தலேசய குரும் சததம் பஜாமி. Again, would like to thank the Seattle Jet Goshti for inviting me to speak again. I'm not at all qualified, but then it is due to the power and the strength of the Mangala systems of the devotees that Adiyan is attempting to talk a little bit about the 29th Pasuram of Thiruppaavai. The Pasuram, we'll first do the Anusandhanam of the Pasuram and then get Chirukaalae Mandunnai Chevithu உன் பொத்தாமரை அடியே போற்றும் பொருள்களாய் பெற்ற மெய்த்துண்ணும் புலத்தில் பிறந்து நீ குத்தேவல் எங்களை கொள்ளாமற் போகாது இற்றை பறைகொள்வான் அன்னுகான் கோவிந்தா எற்றைக்கும் ஏழு பிறவிக்கும் உந்தன்னோடு உற்றோமேயாவோம் உனக்கே நாமாட் செய்வோம் மற்றிடம் காமங்கள் மாற்றேலோர் எம்பாவாய். We have been enjoying what Andal has explained in the various pasurams of Thiruppaavai. And then yesterday in the Karavaigal Pinsendra Pasuram, she talks about a very, very important aspect, which is the means. So for all prapannas, the means and the goal, both are Sriman Narayana. And she establishes in the 28th Pasuram that it is Sriman Narayana who is the means. He is the upayam. So there can be two kinds of ashuddhis that can happen when one is thinking of the means and the goal. When we talk about the upayam, the ashuddhi that can happen is of two kinds. So first kind is that somebody other than Sriman Narayana is the upayam or is the means. That is the first kind of ashuddhi that can happen. The second ashuddhi is, okay, we say, I'm not going to assume anybody else is is an upayam or means. So I go and surrender to Sriman Narayana. I have performed prapatti. Now, assuming that prapatti is the means, that is the second ashuddhi that can happen. What that means is, it is only Sriman Narayana. It is not your or my act of surrender. It is not that prapatti that is the upayam. Now, you may have heard of many margams, right? Karma yogam, bhakti yogam, jnana yogam, and then prapatti as a yogam. Oh, we are all prapannas because we observe the prapatti yogam. So the nuance there to be understood is that it is not our act of performing the Sharanagati. It is him. When we do the Sharanagati, what do we say? We say, I don't have any means, I don't have any goals, or I don't have the power. It's not just that. It is also against our Swarupam to think of anyone other than Sriman Narayana as the means. So those are the two ashuddhis she talks about in the 28th Pasuram, Karavaigal Pinsendra. Now there, she establishes clearly about Sriman Narayana being the means. So if there is a means, there also has to be a goal. Right? What is that goal? That goal is what she establishes in the 29th Pasuram, Sitranchirukaalae. The goal is also Sriman Narayana. Now, just like how there can be two kinds of ashuddhis in the means, in the upayam, there can be two kinds of ashuddhis in the goal also. So what are those two ashuddhis? The first ashuddhi is that assuming that somebody other than Sriman Narayana is the goal, that is going after material desires or going to another devata. So those are all ashuddhi. However, just like how the in the means, there is a very nuanced form of the Ashuddhi. There is also a very nuanced form of Ashuddhi in the goal also, that is in the Prapyam also. And that Ashuddhi is assuming that I am reaching that Sriman Narayana is the goal and I am going to perform Kainkaryam to him, but I do that Kainkaryam because I would love to do that Kainkaryam. So that self-happiness, that is an Ashuddhi. Because the happiness has to be for the enjoyment of the master. That happiness has to be for the enjoyment of the Kainkaryam, has to be for the enjoyment of Sriman Narayana. So that is what she establishes in this Pasuram, in the Sitranchirukaalae Pasuram. So when Andal says in the 5th Pasuram, Tuyomai Vandanam Tu Malar Tu Vittorde. So the word to examine there is Tuyomai. Tuyomai means I'm coming in a pure form. Tuya means pure. And similarly, in the 16th Pasuram also, she says Tuyomai Mandom Tuilarat Padvan. She says we have come in, we are very devout, we've come very pure. So what purity does she talk about there? She's not talking about physical purity. Oh, I took a bath, I've observed all my anushtanams, I've come to you with all of that. That's not what she's talking about. She's talking about these two Ashuddhis, that I am coming to you, right? We are coming to you, we are surrendering to you because it is you who is worthy of surrender and it is you who can take us to yourself. And we come to you desiring you, and we come to you desiring you for your happiness. So that is what she talks about when she says Tuyomai. So it is that she establishes in this 29th Pasuram. Now there are two Pasurams in the entire set of Thiruppaavai that are considered to be the epitome of the Divya Prabandham itself, of Thiruppaavai itself. The first one is the 15th Pasuram, the Pasuram that goes as Yelle Ilankiliye. In Yelle Ilankiliye Pasuram, it is the Bhagavata Lakshanam that's been explained. So our Acharyas have given us the Vyakyanams, right? So when they have given us the Vyakyanams, they are talking about two Pasurams as Thiruppaavai Agirathu Ippatire. That is, they are saying there are two Pasurams that are Thiruppaavai. The first one is Yelle Ilankiliye because it talks about Bhagavata Lakshanam there. What happens in the 15th Pasuram? She says, Nane Dana Idaga. That's what she says. Which is, she says, oh, let the fault be mine. So it is always at Bhagavata Seshatvam. So that she establishes in the 15th Pasuram. And then 29th Pasuram, Sitranchirukaalae, for this also our Acharyas have said, Thiruppaavai Agirathu Ippatire. That is, these two are the Pasurams that are considered to be the essence of Thiruppaavai. In this Pasuram, she talks about the Bhagavad Swarupam and what we have to do when we approach Bhagavan. So what we have to do when we approach Bhagavatas is explained in the 15th Pasuram. And what we have to do when we approach Bhagavan, I mean, what sort of a Swarupam or what sort of a attitude we should have, that is explained in the 29th Pasuram. So that is why these two Pasurams are considered as the essence of Thiruppaavai, Sitranchirukaalae Pasuram. So now, Andal is the one who Swami Manavala Mamanigal says she is Anjakudi Korusandadiya. That is, she is like the only child of all the Alvars, not just Periyalvar, but she is the child of all the Alvars. Anjakudi Korusandadiya, Alvargal Tamshayalai Vinjinirkum Tanmayalai. What that means is that she is one whose acts are even beyond the ones of the other Alvars. Now I can ask everybody a question. Can you name all the 12 Alvars? So we might probably name 6, 7, we'll probably have it as a quiz for another day. We may not know all the Alvars, but everybody would know Andal. Do you know all of the Divya Prabandhams that other Alvars have written, have composed, have done Mangala Sasanams? Yeah, I probably heard. Is it Thiruvaimuri? Is it Thiruppaavai? You'll have that question. But when you say Thiruppaavai, everybody knows about Thiruppaavai. That's because the extent to which Andal has even gone beyond all of those Alvars. Alvargal Tamsayalai Vinjinirkum Tanmayalai. That's what Manavala Mamanigal says. So what does she do? What has she done that which has gone above and beyond what the other Alvars have done? She has given us this Thiruppaavai, and she has also given us Nachiyar Tirumuri. Thiruppaavai is hailed as Veda Manaithukum with, or all of the essence of all the Vedas is contained in here. And what does that contain? It talks about talks about Prapya, Prapaka Swarupam, talks about all of that. Now, she says, if you consider who's the leader of all the Arvars, leader of all the Arvars is Nammarvar. Nammarvar, when he talks about the Prapya, Prapaka Swarupam, he talks about what one has to do and all of that. He gives us in the second decade, there is one Padigam called, or there is one set of 10 verses called Yemma Vittu Thiramum Seppam, where he says, oh, even if you were to give me the Sri Vaikuntham, I don't want that Sri Vaikuntham because if you gave it to me because I am wanting Sri Vaikuntham. That is not my desire at all. My desire is whatever you want to give me, whatever you want to have me or use me for your enjoyment, that is what I want. Tanakkeyaga yenai kollum ide. That is for yourself. Please take me for yourself. Tanakkeyaga yenai kollum ide. That's what Nammarvar says. He says that in the second 100 of Thiruvvaimozhi. And then he goes on to continue blessing us with Thiruvvaimozhi. And then it is towards the end, there is one Padigam called Nedumar Kadimai, where he talks about Bhagavata Seshatva. Because everything has to finally culminate in Bhagavata Seshatva. Thirumangai Alvar says, when I learned the Tirumantram, for Thirumangai Alvar, it is Thirumal himself who comes and gives the Mantropadesam for Tirumantram. So he goes through a set of so many different pastimes where he blesses us. And then at the end, he says, in the Tirumantra Patra, when I learned Tirumantram, what did I learn? Eventually, I learned that I have to be subservient to your devotees. Utradum un adiyar kadimai. That's what he says. So that is the essence. So all these Arvars, they are establishing these factors after they are going through the course. But what does Andal do? The first thing she does is she goes and invites all of the Bhagavatas in Thiruvaipadi. She takes all of the Gopikas with her, and then she wants to serve them. She wants to be with them. She wants to enjoy Krishna with them. And when she does that, then eventually she goes to Krishna and says, in order for all of that to be sustained, all of the association with Bhagavatas to be sustained, she says, I am surrendering to, or you are the means and you are the goal. That's what she says. So she reverses. So when somebody talks about a goal, like when somebody wants to talk about the greatness of Swarga or the greatness of Paramapadam, they'll first, in order to entice the person into getting an interest, they'll first talk about how great it is. I mean, and then, okay, after you've talked about how great it is, okay, how do I get it? Then you'll talk about how to get there. But Andal first, she collects all of the Bhagavatas together. So she establishes the final goal, right? Or she establishes the final act right in the beginning. And then in order to sustain that, she goes and surrenders onto Krishna. She goes and talks about his greatness. So that is the greatness of Andal. That is why she is called Arvargal Tamsayalai Vinjinirkum Tanmayal. So this is explained by Swami Periyavachan Pillai in the Avatarikai, or the introduction for this Pasuram, for the Sitranchirukaalae Pasuram. Now we will get into just a little bit more introduction before we get into the meanings itself. So the second Acharya who wrote the commentary for Thiruppaavai, his name is Alagiya Manavala Perumal Nayanar. He says, we have to, or one should not have, or one should be ananyarha. There are three qualities that every jivatma should have: ananyarha seshatvam, ananya bhogyatvam, and ananyarhatvam. So what that means is ananya upayatvam. That is, you cannot consider anybody other than Krishna or Sriman Narayana as your upayam, and you are not to be subservient to anybody other than Sriman Narayana. And then you cannot consider that it's for your enjoyment, it is for Krishna's enjoyment. So these three are Ananya Bhogyatvam, Ananya Upayatvam, and Ananya Arhatvam. So these three are together called Akaratrayam. So this was exemplified by Andal, these three. So that's why she goes one step further than all the other Arvars also. Now we will get into the meanings of the Pasuram itself. So Sitranchirukaalae vandunnai chevittu. So she says, "O Krishna, we have come to you in the Sitranchirukaalae poldu." Kale means morning. So what does morning mean? What does morning mean? So she establishes that in the 14th Pasuram when she says, Sengat podi kurai venpal tavatava. That is, even those who are filled with tamasa gunam, they have woken up. When she's waking up the Gopika in the 14th Pasuram, that 14th Pasuram talks about Vak Vaibhavam. And when she's waking up such a Gopika, she says, oh, even those have gotten up. So that is the Kale. The next is Chirukaalae. So in the 7th Pasuram, she talks about the signs of the Chirukaalae, that is earlier period, where even before that, even before the morning is the period when the Gopikas have already woken up and they are doing the churning of the curd to get butter. So that happens even before. Now, Sitranchirukaalae is established in the 6th Pasuram, means she says, Pullam Silambinakan, the birds are also going now. And that is the time where Munivargalum Yogigalum, that is the rishis and the yogis, even they have gotten up. That is the Sitranchirukaalae poldu. So as early as that, we have come. But she wants to establish one thing to Krishna. She says, see, in the last discourse, we talked about Paragata Spikaram, where it is Emperuman who has to come and consume us, right? When we have to be in that form, we have come to you because of our desperation, because of our tvare. The word that is used is tvare. So because of our tvare, we've come to you. So then you have to please consider and give us what we want. So such Sitranchirukaalae, she has come. Now the other lighter explanation for us to enjoy, because see, the difference between the Vedas, the Upanishads and Divya Prabandham is that with Vedas and Upanishads and all of that, it is very, very dry. It's filled with philosophy, right? But when you enjoy the Divya Prabandhams and when you enjoy the Vyakyanams for those, it is filled with Anubhavam. So if somebody asks you to just go and study philosophy, Nyayam, Tarkam, Mimamsa, and all of that, most of us would just quit because it's just not possible. But at the same time, let's say somebody calls you for a Srimad Bhagavatam discourse. They say it's a Bhagavata Saptaham. Let's come and sit and enjoy. Then why do we enjoy? Because it's Krishna's glories. It's all of his pastimes. So all of that is very enjoyable for us, right? So now the thing to be noted is that when we say it's enjoyable for us, it's because it's Krishna's Anubhavam. So when we hear about the glories of Krishna, Krishna gets happy and that also gives us joy. And similarly here, when we talk about Arvars, Divya Prabandhams, they are filled with such Anubhavams of Arvars. So that Anubhavam given to us or explained to us by our Acharyas. So the lighter side of the Sitranchirukaalae is because if you take a look at what Krishna's daily routine is, as soon as he wakes up, he will go away. He will go with the cows to the forest to graze them. And then he'll come back late in the evening. When he comes back late in the evening, he won't take a bath. He's like a very lazy, naughty guy, right? So he will just go have food with his dad. And then once that is done, he will go see, okay, which house can he steal butter from? And after that, he will go to, he'll play his flute and he'll invite all the Gopikas to go and do the dance with him in the night. So he will do all that. So it is very, very hard to get a hold of him. So because of that, Andal, she thinks about what is the right time to go and get a hold of this guy, Krishna. So then you have to go really, really early, before the Gopikas start churning butter, before the Tamasa Prakritis wake up, before all of that, you have to go and get a hold of Krishna. So that's where she comes. Okay. The other aspect of Sitranchirukaalae is that she is it is in the early morning time that one is filled with Sattva Guna, where our ability to think clearly and our ability to go in the mode of goodness is higher. So she goes in the Sitranchirukaalae பொழுது. Sitranchirukaalae vandu unnai chevittu. So we have come here, and when we have come here, she says that we've actually committed an apacharam. We've committed something that is not dear to your heart. Why? Because Krishna, Sriman Narayana, he is very, very fond of going to the devotees. He went to the place of Guha. He had already walked so far from Ayodhya to come to Sringaverapuram. But then Guhan comes from his place. He comes a little forward, right, to receive Rama. So Rama is like, oh my God, how far have you come to receive me? That's what Rama says. And then from then on, the journey continues. And then when he goes to the place where all of the rishis are there, they show all their scars from the atrocities that Ravana and his brothers have committed. He feels so bad. Rama feels so bad because Rama says, oh, I should have come to protect you, but I made it such that you are all coming here. So that is not, he's very, very unhappy about it. He's very distressed and sorrowed about it. So similarly, you would have wanted to come and consume us, but then we came to you. So we've done an apacharam because we have come to you. So that's what Andar says. Sitranchirukaalae vandu unnai chevittu. And then un potramare adiye. She says, so we have come and we are surrendering to your lotus feet. Un potramare adiye potrum porul kelai. So when she says this, Krishna says, okay, what do you guys want now? So you've come. She says, we are here only to serve you, and that is what we want. So in all the other pasarams, so 9 times in all of the 30 pasarams, she has said that she wants parai. She wants parai. So starting from the beginning, in the first pasaram itself, she says, Narayanane namakke parai tarman. There itself, she establishes very, very clearly who is the goal, what is the goal, who is going to give that goal, and who is he going to give that to. So she says parai. So the word parai, literal meaning is drum, but then what that really means, we've been talking about it in all of the pasarams, in all the meanings of all the pasarams, where we say that parai really kaiparyam, but it is only in this pasaram where she is being very explicit about it. And we'll get to that. She says, Itrai parai kolvan andrukan govinda. She says, I've not come here to take this parai, this drum. So we'll get to it. But then, so she establishes that, and she also establishes who is going to give. Narayanane namakke parai tarman. It is Sriman Narayana who's going to give it to us. And who is he going to give to? Namakke. So in all the pasarams, again, she talks about Nam Vandom, Tuyomai Nam Vandom. So she talks about who is the adhikari, or who is the recipient of his grace. It is his devotees. So she establishes that. So coming back to this pasaram, she says, Sitranchirukaalae vandu unnai chevittu un potramare adiye. So we are glorifying your potramare adi, which is potramare means gold and lotus. So such lotus feet, which are very, very delectable for his devotees. And such feet we have come, we are praising. Potrum porul kelai. So now Krishna, he sees all of these devotees again standing in front of him, all of these gopikas. So his mind he's not paying attention to what Andal is saying. So she says, Potrum porul kelai. So please listen to me. And then he says, Un potramare adiye potrum porul kelai. Then he says, okay, what do you guys want now? She says, oh, we want the kainkaryam. That's what we want. So when he says that, when she says that, Krishna now asks, what do you mean? So for so far you were talking about something called parai. That is the only thing I know. Okay, here. So I'm going to go and bring that parai, that drum, and I'm going to keep it in front of you. You guys take it because that's what you wanted, right? So she says, Itrai parai kolvan andrukan govinda. This, now she uses the term govinda again. Now in the previous pasarams, when she used the term govinda, it is to show how he is such a he is saulabhyam. And when somebody refers to him with the name Narayana, that means you're showing off his supremacy. And when you say the name Govinda, that is referring to how easily accessible, how his saulabhyam is explained. So that's what the term Govinda here means. But here, when she uses the name Govinda, what she means is really, oh Govinda, you are the cowherd boy. You are the protector of all these cows. You are the one who goes after all these cows. Kalipin povar por kolkondiva. So going after these cows all the time, you have really lost it. You are unable to understand. Your brain is also just like those cows. You're not able to think and decipher what it is that we are after. So she is using the word Govinda in that sense in this pasuram. She says, Ittrai parai kolvan andre. We are not here for this parai. Ettraikum yerer piravikum. All the time. So in general, the Arvars or anybody would say, oh, I don't want this Janma. They will say, Ini piravi yan venden. I don't want this Janma. But Andal, because she is the Vinjinirkum Tanmayal who goes above and beyond all the other Arvars, she says, even if it doesn't matter to me whether I am here, I am there, but wherever you are, if you are in Sri Vaikuntham, we want to be there in Sri Vaikuntham with you. If you are here, then we want to be here with you. Just like how the popular shlokam goes, right? Raghavatve abhavat Sita Rukmini Krishna Krishna Janma Rukmini. So Rukmini comes when Krishna comes. That is any avataram that Perumal takes, and whenever he descends, right, his consorts also descend. Like that, whether you are here, whether you are there, it doesn't matter. Even if it means that you are going to give us, as long as we are with you, the year Piravi, countless janmas, those don't matter. That's what she says. But what do we want? We want Kuttreval. Kuttreval Saidil. Kuttreval means that intimate kainkaryam. That is, we want to be with you. The way, just like how here in Thiruppaavai, what happens? She is able to come to them, to Krishna, and she says, hey Krishna. And Krishna is able to mix freely with them. And he is able to be together with them. So that is the extent of kainkaryam that we want. So that's what she says here. And we want this kainkaryam all the time. Ettraikum yerer piravikum. And she says, Undanodu utrome yavom. That is, we are always related to you. There is no way we cannot be away from you. I mean, our Swarupam is that the Jivatmas are all related to and subservient to the Paramatma, and that is our Swarupam. And then she says, what is the point? So you have taken birth, right? Petram me tunnum pulatil pirandani. So she says, you have taken this birth in this Aikulam. So why do you have to come and take birth in Aikulam? You could have been elsewhere, right? The purpose of you coming to Aikulam is because you want to be with us, right? That is, it is his saulabhyam, because he is the master. So just like how, let's say we have a purse and we go to somebody's house, we leave the purse somewhere. Now, will the purse come and find us? The purse will not come and find us. We being the master of that purse, we will go berserk. We will want to go and find that purse. We'll call that person. We'll make sure that the purse is safe. And we'll go right away. We'll go maybe the next day. As soon as possible, we will want to recover what belongs to us. So like that, Krishna wants to recover us who belong to him. So he will come and he'll come after us. So the purpose of you taking birth in this kulam, in this I kulam, is such that you can give us the kainkaryam, and you should engage us in the kainkaryam at all times. So Petram Metunnum Kulatil Pirandu Ni Kutreval Yangalai Kollamar Pogadu. That is, it is not possible for us to not have this kainkaryam and this relationship with you. Ettraikum yerer piravikum undanodu utrome yavom. So we are always associated with you. Unakke naam aatshaivom. So here she talks about the kainkaryam. So our goal is to aatshaival means to do the service. So unakke naam aatshaivom. So she talks about aatshaivom, which is we will do the kainkaryam, But what if, let's say, today I'll do the Kainkaryam to you, tomorrow I'll go and do the Kainkaryam to somebody else. I am subservient to, let's say, which is, so now she says, anything that comes in the way of this, please take it away. And in this, the very, very important thing to note is that when she says, Matrainam Kamangal Matra, so Kamam means desire. So she says, Matrainam Kamam, or any other desires that we could have, Matra, or get rid of that. So what that means is she's not talking about any material wealth or jewelry or any such thing. She's not talking about that. She's talking about the Kainkaryam being for the pleasure of the Paramatma only and not for us. She says we should not have the desire. Let it be so that the Kainkaryam is for the pleasure of the Paramatma only. Matrenam Kamangal Matrelor Empavai. So that is what she finishes with. So in this Pasuram, she talks about the Uttara Vakyam of the Dvayam. So in the Dvayam has two parts. In the first part, it is about surrendering to Sriman Narayana. That is Narayana who is along with Sri. Sriman Narayana Charanau Charanam Prapadye. So in the 28th Pasuram of Karavaigal Pinsendre, she is establishing that Upayatvam, where she shows the surrender to Krishna. And then in this Pasuram, the second half of Dvayam is exemplified, where in the second half of Dvayam, what does it say? It says, Srimate Narayanaya Namaha. That is, we should do the Kainkaryam for his pleasure. And the Nama Shabdam in the Dvayam, that is what that our Acharyas have said, that is Kainkaryatil Kalai Edukkirathu. What that means is it's removing the impurities from the Kainkaryam. What are those impurities? Just like how we talked about it in the beginning of this session, it is the thought that any Kainkaryam is done for our own pleasure. So that is removed by the Nama Pada. So that same thing she explains here in this Pasuram, in the Sitranchirukaalae Pasuram, and she finishes off with Matrainam Kamangal Matra, that is, remove our desires, and that's how she explains the Dvaya Mahamantra in these Pasurams. So that is why. So together, if you think of all the Thiruppaavai Pasurams, so she brings all the devotees together. She teaches us how to approach Krishna through the windows. That is, she teaches about how we have to approach Sriman Narayana through the grace of Sri Mahalakshmi. And then it is how it's one's Swarupam to do Mangala Sasanam when she, as she explains in the 24th Pasuram of Andri Vulagamarandai. And then she talks about what we get. The Paramasamyapati and the Sayujim, so in the 26th and the 27th Pasurams. And then finally concludes with the Upayam as well as the Upayam. So that is why Thiruppaavai is the essence of all the Vedas. So it is the Vedam Anaittukkum Vittu. Vedam Anaittukkum Vittagum. We recite that when we recite the Vari Tirunamam, right? So that is how she shows it to us, and she leads us into his Kainkaryam. Sitranchirukaalae Vandunai Chevittu Un Putramarayadiye Potrum Porul Kelai Petram Meithunnum Kulathil Pirandu Nee Kuttreval Engalai Kollamal Pogadu Ittrai Parai Annakan Govinda Ettraikum Ezhel Piravikkum Undannod Uttromeyavom Unakke Naamar Seivom Matrinam Kamangal Matrelor Empavai. Andal Thiruvadigale Sharanam.
Then you